And join us now are Daniel and Stacy. And sorry you've gone through this. It's, everyone's dream to move into a home with their family. And yet I'm also proud that you were able to figure out that the home was what was causing so much of this. What's been the hardest part overall?
We lost our home, obviously, not our house, but our home. Just the terrible health symptoms and just the stress that is put on our
How
family.
are your children doing now? Just as a parent, I think that would be so hard to watch them go through these symptoms.
It is. It's really hard. They can't tell us how they're feeling, and we can only go by my tummy hurts or my head hurts or my heart hurts.
Well, and this is not a scenario that is uncommon. It can happen. And joining us now in the audience is Dr. Noreen Kahn-Mayberry, a toxicologist and environmental scientist. And mold in the home can affect our health in so many ways.
Right. Yeah, I mean, mold is actually everywhere. It's ubiquitous, meaning that we're breathing it right now, and at low levels, it's absolutely harmless. But when you get higher concentrations, like what you saw in the home, that's when you see all of this really bad adverse health effects. They did have several different types of mold. One of them, Aspergillus penicillium, is very common, what we're breathing in now at low levels. But Stachybotrys and Catorium, those two only proliferate or start to grow at those kind of levels when you've got a high moisture content in the home. And behind the walls, it's like a silent, invader that you don't know about because you're not seeing any visual contamination. And so you think everything's fine because it's clear, you don't see any kind of visual mold, but it's proliferating. It's getting higher and higher in concentration. The higher it gets, the more type of symptoms you get. And people who are immunocompromised and who are children are more susceptible than those who are adults, but it can absolutely affect anyone, especially at high concentrations.
After the shock of finding out that their home was filled with this toxic black mold, Stacy and Daniel, they knew their family needed help. We actually sent them to see just how badly the mold had affected their health.
Hey there, how are you?
Good.
Dr. Avi, how are you?
Good. I'm Daniel. This is my wife.
Today I'm hoping to help the Harper family, let them identify if they have any underlying mold-related issues. All right, so we're going to get you set up for the allergy testing and the breathing test, and I'll take a look at it, and as soon as I analyze and review it, I'll give you a call. We'll go over the results.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Go really deep in, and then blast it out. I need about 10 more seconds. A little bit faster. 3, 2, 1. Exhale out.
Good job.
Did it hurt?
It hurt less than a bird went underwater.
Hi, it's Dr. Corsandi.
I'm Stacy Harper.
So what brings you here, Stacy?
We discovered that we have toxic mold in our home. I just don't feel like myself anymore.
Okay, let's examine you. One more time. We're going to need to do an EKG, and we'll take it from there.
When we come back, we will have some answers for Stacy and Daniel, along with the results of their medical tests. Stick around. We're back with Daniel and Stacy. Joining us in the audience is our team of experts: toxicologist Dr. Noreen Kahn-Mayberry, cardiologist Dr. Corsandi, mold expert Mitch Renberg, and via Skype, internist and pulmonologist Dr. Avi Ishaya. And Mitch, I want to start with you because obviously to solve a problem, you have to first figure out what the problem is. The air test in their home, what did you find?
In terms of the Stachybotrys, it was the highest counts I've seen. What was interesting about it, when you first walk in the house, you don't see that much mold. It wasn't till later when we got the lab results back, and I was stunned. It lit up like a Christmas tree. It was so much.
And with those findings, Dr. Noreen, is this then not unexpected, all the health issues that we were seeing in the family?
I mean, it's absolutely related. And when you have that active moisture environment and you've got it behind a wall and it's just growing and growing and proliferating, their health is just going to progressively get worse because it weakens their immune system, and over time they experience more and more symptoms. And so it is absolutely related to, you know, what people refer to as sick building syndrome. And Stachybotrys is the one that they call the fatal mold or the black mold. It's not something you see common, and that's why, you know, as you were saying, you don't really see those high counts very often. You've got to have an active water, you know, moisture situation, and sheetrock is like candy to mold. So they just grow on it like crazy, which is why, you know, when you clean it up, you have to get rid of the sheetrock, not even just the visual sheetrock, the stuff past it, so you can make sure it doesn't grow again after you fix the problem.
It's the toxic college roommate that you may not even know exists until it's too late. We're talking about mold. So thank you for staying with us. I'm Erin LeBeau.
I'm Corey Chambers in for Tamsin. Mold, actually one of the most common problems in college dorms. And since students spend so much time in their rooms, it can pose a really dangerous health risk.
Yeah, our next guest is actually on a crusade to end the health epidemic caused by toxic mold. Please welcome mold and air quality expert and author of The Mold Medic, Michael Rubino. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, guys.
Okay, let's jump right in. You've done a lot of research on mold in college dorms. So what have you found?
Well, I found that a lot of college dorms have issues with mold, which actually led to a lot of media coverage over the past couple of years. But I still think that we have a lot more work to do to create awareness around this important topic.
Okay, so if you walk into a room and you like sniff around a little bit and you don't smell that sort of moldy smell, does that mean you're in the clear or no?
Unfortunately not. I mean, we've had a lot of advancements in technologies over the years that help us identify problems that are hidden behind walls or hidden above ceilings, which can still be creating an impact for the air that we're breathing.
So how can you tell if the dorm you're in or the room you're in has mold?
Well, it can be tricky, right? Because we rely on visual and senses to kind of detect this without utilizing technology. And you want to look for these coffee-like stains, your paint bubbling. You want to look for paint cracking, things that look like there is some sort of water intrusion, because mold is not going to grow without the presence of water. And then also, as you guys mentioned, you have those earthy, musty, even cigar-like smells that typically you encounter when you're in a moldy environment. And of course that it doesn't always happen, but those are some of the quick telltale signs that you want to look for right away.
Okay, and can it just be one room, or is it one of those deals where, you know, if one room has it, they all have it?
Well, one room can be the source, but unfortunately, if that source is consistently producing spores and these particles and toxins, that can impact you from even the room next door.
So what are some of the health issues or problems that someone may experience when it comes to mold?
Well, it could be very extreme. I've had a client who actually was so sick she had to get a GJ feeding tube installed just to be able to ingest food. But it also can be very acute, where you have things like brain fog, chronic fatigue, skin issues, gut issues, inflammation, and things like that. So it really impacts a lot of people differently, most like everything else on this planet, but it's definitely something that if you're looking to optimize your health, you want to be aware of your air quality.
I know there's like different types of mold, right? Because like, you know, we've all heard about like black mold and, you know, how dangerous that is. And then I know there's other molds. Like, so like, is there a scale? Is there an amount? Like, where does it go from being safe to being unsafe?
Well, it really becomes unsafe when there's just so much there that your body is working overtime essentially to try to remove what you're ingesting and inhaling. I think that's really what it comes down to. There's over 100,000 different types of species, so it is way more than black mold that we want to worry about. In fact, typically when we talk about black mold, we're talking about a mold called Stachybotrys shatarum, which is a toxigenic mold. But there's another mold that is called Cotomium, also typically black in color, that can be toxigenic. But then when we actually change gears to Aspergillus and Penicillium, those are typically white or green or lighter in color. And those molds can also be toxic, producing mycotoxins that can really create an impact on our body. So we just want to be diligent and make sure we don't have too much mold. That's really what it comes down to.
Now, we know when it comes to college campuses across the country, some of these dorm rooms have not been upgraded in years. So why have you found in your research that some of these dorm rooms are more susceptible to mold?
Well, it comes back down to that fact, maintenance. You know, we have to maintain our homes and buildings and keep water away. And so if we don't have a good maintenance plan and we're not maintaining our buildings or our homes and we allow water to intrude, this can create some issues. Also, some dorms have, basements where people are living in basements, and any subgrade space is always more prone to moisture and humidity. It only requires 60% relative humidity for mold to start to grow. So it's really important to maintain water, moisture, humidity, and that's what's going to give us that successful action to mitigating the presence of mold.
All right, so it sounds like we need to get like a dehumidifier and really focus on making sure we keep that humidity level under, you said 60%?
60%. So we're going to keep it under.
All right, okay. And as far as stopping it in the first place, he went away. Is he gone? No, he's
there he is.
He's still here.
I just did a little magic trick, that's all.
and how do you avoid it in the first place? Because again, we talked before where you came on the segment that, look, these spores, they're floating around all over the place. They're always there just sort of waiting for an opportunity to grow. So how do you prevent that from happening in the first place?
All right, so a couple different things. We already talked about water, so I won't harp on that again. But I think the other two things that are really important is air purification. Removing these particles from our air before they get into contact with our body is really important. And also, I'm going to say something that is not very popular, but unfortunately is true: cleaning. What is in our dust gets into our body. If you've ever sat on a couch on a sunny day and you saw that ray of light peer through a window, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Our dust is everywhere. And a lot of these particles, like mold spores and the toxins that mold can produce, they settle in our dust and then they opportunistically enter our body as our dust continues to recirculate. So cleaning your home, cleaning your dorm room, these are things that you want to stay on top of, because otherwise you're much more likely to inhale these pollutants.
All right, so the mold medic, Michael Rubino, where can people go to get more information from your research and findings?
Go to changetheairfoundation.org. That's where we're doing all of this work, trying to create all this awareness. It's a nonprofit, and we're here to help really change the air.
All right, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Now, rain, humidity and high temperatures, sound familiar, are the perfect breeding ground for mould. With many parts of the country still damp from record rainfall, there's been a massive outbreak of fungi.
Lots of people are talking about this. Lurking in cupboards and on ceilings, mould is more than just an eyesore. It can make you seriously ill. For more, we're joined by mould expert Vince Neal from Mycotox. Great to see you, Vince. Now, people are talking about this at the moment, and mould can be there before you even see it.
Yes, especially in wall cavities and the fact that you've got mould, but you've also got bacteria. Yeah. Bacteria can develop in 2-3 hours after a water damage.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, are there ways of knowing that you've got mould even if you're not seeing it?
Yeah, odours. When you shut the house up, come back in and you go, oh, I don't like that. That's a pretty good indication that you've got a moisture problem, microbial problem.
Yeah. Gotcha.
As I know all too well, it can trigger asthma symptoms, coughing, shortness of breath, can be really terrible for your health.
Memory's a big one. Lung inflammation, brain inflammation's a big one. People don't realise that you can have things like shrinking of the caudate from exposure.
Really?
You can have cortical grey matter. Going towards atrophy, which is very similar to alcoholic.
I had no idea. What can people do about it?
The main thing is to keep a house dry, clean and well ventilated.
Now that sounds pretty simple, but honestly, how do you keep your house dry?
It really depends on what problems you've got. Like if you're built against a sandstone brick wall in Sydney around Point Piper,
you're going to be damp.
You're going to have problems. You won't get away from it. But you've got to install systems that will break that down. Because the children, like you find behavioural problems with kids where they've been throwing little tantrums, etc., and they're too young to tell you, look, there's a problem, I'm having a problem here. Remember that mould and bacteria produce chemicals. We call them VOCs. But they are chemicals. They cross the blood-brain barrier. So you'll get headaches, chronic fatigue. You'll find people in the workplace.
So dry, ventilated and...
keep it clean.
Keep it clean.
And
there
a
we go.
dehumidifier is a good idea. We're going to put all of Vince's tips and details for Mycotox on our website. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Vince.
Single mother Kim Daniello thought she found the perfect house when she purchased this Flint home last February.
I thought this was my dream home. Ranch-style house. It was perfect for me and my 8-year-old daughter.
Instead, it turned out to be a nightmare.
2 weeks after moving in, We started having serious health problems with headaches, sinuses, cough, not being able to breathe very well.
Kim figured out what was making her and her daughter sick when she pulled up the rug in the basement and found mold. She searched the rest of the home and found more.
We pulled up the hardwood, brand new hardwood flooring that this company, Triple E's Properties, put in. It was all wet, moldy, and black. And you can see that. He put it right over top of it to cover it out, just like he has been with the clean molding that he's putting on the walls.
Kim says her daughter's room was the worst. These walls were covered in mold. She had to gut the whole place, and now 9 months after buying the home, her daughter still can't sleep here. Kim blames Triple E Properties owner Gary Miller. He flipped the home and sold it to her. She says he never mentioned the home had flooding until after she bought the house.
He came out to my house twice, kind of admitted to the water in the basement. He fixed the roof twice, but he doesn't believe that the water from the leaking roof caused the mold problem in my house.
Miller did not return our calls, but Flint Area Association of Realtors President Pat Coates says Kim has to take some of the responsibility.
Within the purchase agreement, it's spelled out very clearly that it's highly recommended, that it's recommended, not highly, but it's recommended that you have a home inspection.
Kim did not get a home inspection. Pat says had she had one, she wouldn't be in this messy predicament.
I need help, but I can't get it. I have my brothers just helping me at least gut the house.
Addie Mills has lived in this home in Natchez Beaupre neighborhood since November, and she says it's been a nightmare every day since.
Nobody knows what it feels like to live in a house and with so many problems. Every month, every week, there's a problem.
She says she knew that something was wrong when she developed nagging allergy symptoms out of the blue.
Every time I would leave here and come back, I didn't feel the same. And my eyes was just running and puffy, and I couldn't hardly breathe, and I was having migraine headaches so bad.
After a trip to her doctor in Monroe, she found out she had been infected with black mold. Mills then called her realtor at Century 21 to ask for the problem to be fixed.
She texted me back and said that her and the lawyer that over the estate was not going to pay for an expert to come in.
But months passed, and she says they never did. So Mills took matters into her own hands. She brought in RTC of Louisiana, a restoration consulting company, who confirmed in this lengthy report they found black mold in several areas in this house.
I opened the cabinet. The first thing he said, I got to go back out and I got to get it stripped because this is serious.
I also gave RTC of Louisiana a call, and they told me they stand by their findings. Addie Mills says the black mold damage goes beyond just inside the house. It's growing outside as well, and that's not all.
You cannot run gas line through copper pipe. And they did, and it ate through, and so the gas was leaking down on me as well.
I also called Mills' real estate agent, Charlotte Copeland, at Century 21 several times. At first, she told me I shouldn't do the story because it was fraud. I called her again, and she hung up. I called her one last time.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Miss Charlotte. This is Chelsea with KTVE again.
Yeah.
So we went inside the house, and we did see the mold. Would you like to comment now?
Not at all. Thank you.
Mills says she's worried that Century 21 will sell this house and infect someone else. She says all she wants is the truth to come out before anyone else gets sick.
I am so worried about if a child get in here. If a child get in here, a child will not survive. Only thing I have asked is that they stop lying and saying that I'm a fraud and I'm a fake when my health is at risk now.
Black mold, believe it or not, it may be growing inside your home right now, and it could pose a serious threat to your health. Tonight, in a special report, 7 Eyewitness News reporter Jill Perkins speaks to one local lady who says that this toxin is actually killing her.
I may not make it. I may not live. Susan Crane Sandell was too weak to even sit up for this interview. For almost 4 years, Susan says she was exposed to black mold while living at a friend's house in Niagara Falls. Slowly, she was being poisoned. She says she didn't even experience symptoms for the first year and a half. And all of a sudden, I was really stiff. I couldn't feel the base of my stomach. And my abdomen turned into something that looked like I was going to birth a whale. She went to nearly a dozen doctors and embarked on what she calls a strange medical odyssey, a search for a diagnosis. Finally, after expensive tests, it was determined that Susan was being poisoned by black mold. The once very active and healthy woman, for the last 2 years, has been stuck in bed. My stomach is, doesn't work properly. I can't taste food. I can't, smell anything. I have lost all of those abilities. You lose your sense of literally touch.
and your eyes are affected too, so that your vision is clouded, you feel like you're, completely destroyed as a person.
A lot of what we talk about in public health are common sense approaches that people can take.
Dan Stapleton is the public health director in Niagara County and says mold can grow anywhere in all homes, new or old. The key is eliminating any hidden source of moisture, especially if it's in a warm area.
Just regular household bleach will eliminate mold. So there's no fancy chemicals they need to buy. There's no special procedures they need to follow.
Once you do that, it's important to get rid of whatever the mold was growing on.
Let's say it's on wall, or if it's on building materials, then you need to get rid of those building materials.
Stapleton says people with already compromised immune systems are especially at risk, like Susan. She's now trying to raise awareness about the dangers of mold and raise the money to get herself into a clinic. She's trying to save her own life.
I don't want to see anybody else go through this kind of stuff. I can't use conventional medical treatment for the most part to help me. Insurance covers nothing.
Now, Susan is trying to get to a clinic in Florida that specializes in detoxing people who have been poisoned by black mold. She has a GoFundMe account, and if you'd like to donate, we have a link on WKBW.com. That's where I've also posted more information about dangerous molds that could be lurking in your home. Jill Perkins, 7 Eyewitness News.
Teachers and parents tell me the mold in the new and old building has irritated students and staff with asthma. Teachers tell me it took a complaint to the teachers union to get anything done. They say there's lots of moisture and water inside. I spoke to the manager of all the school's operations, and he says the mold inside is safe, but teachers and parents aren't buying it. Elementary schools are usually filled with laughter, little ones, and bright colors. But at Linecoff Elementary School,
when you walk in just up against the walls, you would just see it. It's not hidden where you'd have to look for it. A lot of the classroom has black spores, black mold, going up the closets. It's in the library and a lot of the classrooms, basement.
Decor many parents and teachers deem unacceptable at Linecoff. Take a look at the photos and video sent to me from inside the building. Here you can see black spores along the walls of the library and classroom. They're around the vents. There's standing water in the classroom closet, dirty rooms, and this photo even shows the floor of the cafeteria caved in. Parents and teachers also report an overwhelming foul odor.
It is just very harmful, and I'm appalled that we have this here in our school system.
Frustrated and even scared for her job, Linecoff teacher Kimberly Boykin reached out to Local 15 in hopes of changing that. She's taught at Linecoff for nearly 3 years and says she's been complaining for 2 years to the Mobile County Public School System to clean up what she believes is mold. She tells us she was fed up with what she says was a lack of response from the school system. So Boykin, along with other teachers, pulled money together to test their rooms and sent it off to a lab in Memphis, Tennessee. The results? A wide variety of mold, including aspergillus. Boykins believes it's the reason why many students and teachers are dealing with respiratory issues, irritated eyes, and allergies at Linecoff.
I have been diagnosed with asthma. Last year, they told me I had a mild case of COPD.
What is COPD?
It's a pulmonary disease. And, I didn't have any of that before I came to Linecoff.
Parents say the same rings true for their children.
My granddaughter, she has asthma and a lot of sinus problems, and she's been sick quite a lot this year. I think it's based on all that mold that they're breathing in every day.
I sat down with Dr. Richard Euler. Dr. O says certain mold can make people sick, but it's more known to irritate those with respiratory issues.
It can. People that have suppressed immune systems, that are on chronic steroids, those with asthma, chronic sinus conditions, emphysema, or COPD are a little more risk for an exacerbation of their symptoms.
Meaning it can heighten symptoms, which is what Boykin claims has happened at Linecoff.
My first year here, I had a lot of standing water in my classroom. My air was gone, and I had a little child to have an asthma attack in class.
I took the teacher and parent concerns to Executive Director of Operations for the Mobile County Public School System. Tommy Sheffield says the reaction students and faculty have experienced is, well, normal.
children with asthma. It may irritate them more than a children that does not have asthma, or a child, or a teacher may have breathing problems that may irritate that. Definitely would not deny any of that.
Sheffield says the building you see here is cleaner than it's ever been before.
I would say there's a safe amount of mold. There's not a building on earth that does not have mold in it.
A statement that doesn't sit well with grandparent Kathleen Thompson.
I think that's ridiculous. What is a safe amount of mold that children can breathe in every single day?
The school system claims a test Thompson Engineering conducted shows the school is safe. I obtained a copy of that test. It shows it was a limited mold investigation testing only 2 classrooms in the new building. Parents and teachers cite mold in the old building and the newly constructed building. The report states the visual inspection of the classroom discovered, quote, no obvious mold. Records show the inspection revealed the humidity measurement was lower than the standards set by the Environmental Protection Agency. The report indicated the test determined the mold spores in the classroom were similar to ones outside. In its report, Thompson Engineering concluded there was not active mold in the classrooms.
And the air quality is not alarming to us based on the test results.
Somebody's lying. That's all I got to say. Someone is telling a bald-faced lie. You smell mold. You can't help but to smell it.
Lillian Pate is a PTO volunteer. She cannot fathom how the air inside is similar to outside.
So if that's how you smell outside, then we need to walk around with masks on our face.
I showed Sheffield some of the photos Local 15 received.
Well,
you know, when you see something like that,
that's alarming. To me it is, because the uneducated person can see dust, and it be a black dust or brown dust. It could be some condensation water off the air conditioner. It could be dust hanging from your air conditioner grill. It doesn't mean it's mold dust.
Parents and teachers tell me they want peace of mind and are asking the school system to just clean it up.
And have a company to actually evaluate the entire building and what's ever there to actually just come in and clean it up and just make it safe for everyone.
I kind of knew what it was, but I didn't know. I thought I'd get better, you know. I thought, well, I'll just keep cleaning this, and it'll be okay.
After Hurricane Rita, Tina Dunham immediately started repairing the water damage to her home, but in a matter of days, she developed a cough. That cough never got better, even after the repairs, and more symptoms popped up.
Most of the time you feel poisoned, and you don't know how to describe it to anyone, and the inflammation it brings is indescribable. It affects your vision.
Years and dozens of doctor visits later, she finally came to terms with the fact that living with mold growing in the walls was the source of her struggle. Tina believes she didn't discard enough of the porous materials in the water-damaged home. Now she's sharing her story and begging her neighbors to take this seriously.
I'm not an expert. It's what I've been through and what I've learned the hard way.
And she's not alone in raising awareness.
A lot of misinformation going around about mold remediation and what kills mold and what doesn't kill mold.
Eric Klein is a volunteer going door to door in Rose City, helping homeowners start the repair process. One of the families he's met along the way are the Fords.
Yeah, we can get the mold killed and gone. It's a matter of just get it all built back up again.
Some of the buildings appear to be a total loss and could be demolished. The Fords stay out of this area already riddled with mold, and the risks are real. FEMA explains that children, immune-compromised patients, pregnant women, people with respiratory conditions, and the elderly appear to be at higher risks for adverse health effects from mold. While air filters won't protect you from all mold risks, they can help you breathe a little bit easier, especially during demo. Tina Dunham shared this trick with us. Just grab a box fan, an air filter, and some duct tape. And once you have it all put together, you have yourself a temporary air filter. A lot of homeowners are calling in the professionals to help clear out areas where mold can thrive. We reached out to ServPro, and while their crews were too busy for an interview, their website does answer a lot of questions about the mold remediation process. They say to be wary of companies claiming total mold removal. ServPro says mold is present almost everywhere, indoors and outdoors. Mold spores can enter your home through windows, doors, AC systems, even hitching a ride on your clothing or a pet. Before mold remediation can begin, sources of water or moisture have to be addressed. Otherwise, the mold could return. Even higher than normal indoor humidity can support mold growth. Try to keep indoor humidity below 45%. ServPro says if you think there's mold in your home or business, stay out of the affected areas and turn off the HVAC system and fans. Don't touch or disturb the mold. Don't blow air across any of those surfaces with visible or suspected mold growth. Don't attempt to dry the area by yourself, and avoid spraying bleach or other disinfectants on the mold. Dunham also warns against the common thought that bleach will kill anything.
Yeah, on hard surfaces, metal, glass, formica, tile, yes. You can clean it, remove it, it's gone, so it's dead. But anything it can absorb in.
FEMA agrees, saying porous materials such as drywall, carpeting, paper, ceiling tiles, and furniture made out of composite material should be discarded. Dunham says she's still fighting to regain her health, and she's faced ridicule from neighbors who didn't believe the health complications were due to the mold. But Tina encourages all Southeast Texans to do their homework, ask lots of questions, and to reach out for support if you need help surviving this Harvey aftershock.
Knowledge is power.
Tina has started a Facebook page where Southeast Texans can share their experiences fighting mold. Whether it's a remediation company review, which products seem to work, or helpful articles, you can request to join the group by searching Texas Indoor Mold Harvey Aftermath on Facebook. In studio, Leah Durain, 12 News.
Thank you.